If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Flu season is here, and our pharmacies have you covered with a free flu shot with most insurance plans. Plus, it's cough and cold season, and now through December 2nd, stock up on all the season's essentials and get ready for relief with discounts on items like Mucinex Cold and Flu Kickstart, Mucinex Fast Max products, Vicks DayQuil and NyQuil Combo Pack, Alka-Seltzer Plus, also Airborne and Afrin. Offers end December 2nd. Restrictions apply and offers may vary by location. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day. Yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parli italiano?
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/acast. Spelled BABBEL.com/acast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 24th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know. We give you important context, and we do our darndest to help each other understand.
Today, Andy Beach tells us what kind of AI bubble we're in, and we talk about how we can tell that Google is now the top dog in AI.
I'm Tom Merritt.
And I'm Robb Dunewood.
Let's start with what you need to know with that big story. All right, so seems like Google's Red Alert did some good. The release of Gemini 3 has caused everybody to say, wow, they're really good at AI. In fact, they might be the best at AI right now. For example, Salesforce's Mark Benioff announced on X that he has switched from ChatGPT to Gemini, writing, "The leap is insane. Reasoning, speed, images, video, everything is sharper and faster. It feels like the world just changed again." If you want something a little less hyperbolic, Weilin Chang, co-founder and CTO of LM Arena, told The Verge, "This is more than a leaderboard shuffle. Gemini has clear leads in coding, creative writing, agentic coding, and it's the first model to pass a 1,500 score on visual comprehension. On a benchmark called ArcAGI2, Gemini 3 scored twice as high as GPT-5 Pro and at a tenth the cost." Now, it's not all blooms on the rose, though. The Verge did talk to folks who were criticizing Gemini 3 for its user interface. Some prefer Anthropic for that. Still not compelling enough for all your edge cases. A lot of people are like, I'm pretty good with what I've got. I'm not going to switch for this. But the stock market has rewarded Google with big jumps in its stock price. It is now well ahead of Apple and Amazon, and NVIDIA, Microsoft, Tesla, and Meta are all in decline on stock price. So Google making a big jump while others are not even rising. All this to say, Gemini is well received. We're not trying to say the race is over, though. Expect OpenAI to leapfrog ahead at some point. Expect Claude to leapfrog into this race again at some point. Not that they're out of the race, but it's all going to keep going head to head. Gemini just has the lead at the moment, which means Gemini has become the target for people who like to bring down the leader. And Thursday, Malwarebytes published an article that referenced a thread on X that alleged that Google opted you into using your Gmail messages to train its models. Google, of course, denied the report, telling ZDNet, "We do not use your Gmail content for training our Gemini AI model." So, Rob, not a lot of weasel words there. They pretty much directly contradicted it. Malwarebytes wrote a retraction on the story. It seems that Google changed the way Smart Compose, Smart Reply, and Predictive Text are presented and surfaced and how they explain them. But they didn't change the way they collect data. Google does now and has for a while scanned your emails for smart suggestions, as well as things like spam filtering and categorization. That's different than scanning it for training. Meanwhile, The Verge says that one of its staffers is pretty certain they had opted out of smart features only to find them turned back on recently. So that's different from saying they're training on your emails, of course, but it would be a change in your defaults, which would be annoying. And of course, there's a November 11th class action suit that's ongoing, accusing Google of turning on Gemini for all users on October 10th and giving it access to email without consent. And they're trying to argue that's a violation of the California Invasion of Privacy Act. Google's trying to get that thrown out on its merits, saying they're alleging something that just didn't happen. So, Rob, people coming for Google is no new thing, but I kind of see this increased scrutiny as indicative of how well Gemini is doing, actually.
Well, whoever's on top of the hill is the one who gets the most arrow shot at it. So that's kind of what's happening here. But Google is being very clear. Malwarebytes said this is what Google did. Google said, no, we didn't. And kind of waited until you can retract this or we're going to sue you out of existence. That's what that sounded like to me from the way Google responded to them and how quickly they came out with their response and how direct it was. So there's a lot of good, that is coming out here. It's amazing. If we just go back 2.5 years, Google was struggling.
Yeah.
Not because they were so far behind everybody. They were just very far behind OpenAI. And because of the type of company that Google is, because of search and what search is turning into, it was an untenable position for them to be in. They could not be not just second, but they couldn't be third or fourth when it comes to this. So it was all hands on deck for them to get this turned around. And it looks like with 3 that they've done it.
Yeah, I thought that Google had a very good shot of not only getting back in this race, but leading it because of their technology. I thought that if they didn't get back in this race, it would be a failure of management. And it seems like you can't pin it on management, at least not at the current moment. They've been able to take all of that research, the very fundamental research that they have, and use it to their advantage. I guess the next question is, can they propel themselves to stay in front? Not even just stay in front, but can they increase the distance? Which I feel like they should have enough internal experience and research to kind of widen that gap a little. I don't know that they will.
Google has an advantage that the other players, let's say Microsoft, and Microsoft's not really in this conversation with Copilot, but Google's advantage to OpenAI, to Anthropic, is that it is a $1 trillion company already. So they can just keep throwing money at the problem. And if there are any problems that arise, hey, how about $70 billion? We'll just buy them. I'm not saying that they've done that, but they can do that. So that quiver, or that arrow in their quiver, so to speak, if we keep that analogy going, that gives them just advantages that a lot of other companies don't have. Anthropic can't go out and spend hundreds of billions of dollars to buy somebody if they needed to catch up. Google can. And what's happening here, they really didn't have to do that. It looks like a lot of this is what they've done in-house by being Google and being very good at these type of things from a technology standpoint, and saying, yeah, we were a little bit behind, but we have now caught up. It's crazy to think that we're just now in November. ChatGPT 3.5 came out 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years we've been talking about this. It seems like it's been the entirety of the 2000s, but it's been 3 years.
Yeah, only 3 years. And Google's disadvantage is that it is big and that it has been doing this for a long while, and that is can get in your own way because you start to put on blinders, you do things the way you've always done them. It took 3.5 to shake Google up and say, you've got to stop slow rolling this. You've got to accelerate. And there was no guarantee they would, but they did. And so now we have true competition. That's what you see when there's competition. Somebody figures out a new way to do something and shakes everything up, and the competitors have to respond and improve as well. And that's why I think you see a lot of people being like Mark Benioff, so effusive because they weren't sure that this could happen. They saw lightning strike with ChatGPT 3.5 and they're like, oh, wait, actually, Google is making something that has leapt ahead a little bit as well. I'm not sure it's as big of a leap as ChatGPT was when it first came out 3 years ago, but it does seem like it has improved a lot. Personally, I tried to use the new Nano Banana Pro to combine 4 of my dogs, 3 of them are gone, together in a picture so I could get a picture that could never have happened of all 4 together. It couldn't get all 4. It could get 3, but then it would always mess up one of the others. So I feel like, oh yeah, it can do 3. Couldn't do that before. That's great. It says it can do 5. I'm not able to get it to do 5. So I feel like that's emblematic of where we are. Like big leap ahead, maybe not quite as big as they say. What's been your experience?
Last week, actually, on Daily Tech News Show Live, I said that I've downloaded it. And my initial thought was that it seems like it's slower. But what I've now realized is that I was still using I was comparing it to 2.5 fast and 3.0 thinking. The thinking is slower because it's supposed to be. It's thinking, right. It's doing more. But now that I've actually got the 3.0 fast, it's fast. It does what it does. And I am very impressed by the images that you can generate by just talking to your phone. I mean, I generated an image and I just said, create a woman with a stroller next to an EV at a Midwest shopping center. And it doesn't look like it's AI if you look really closely. But if I showed it to my, to my great uncle or my great aunt, they probably would just think it's somebody standing at the mall. It's like, it doesn't have the tails. Now the hands didn't look perfect, but I was able to hide the hands by have the mom hold the stroller. And then all the hand issues went away. And it looks like a real picture unless you know how to look at pictures to determine that they are AI generated. So it is impressive so far as I'm concerned. And like I said, the speed issues that I reported, that was a misreporting. I was not looking at the newest stuff. I was comparing fast, of an older version, thinking that was actually 3.0 fast, and it was not.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, the ability to maintain consistency and understand context has improved, but it's not perfect, right? It's like you can do a small thing like make sure her hands are hidden behind the stroller, and it's got a good chance of doing that. If you start throwing a lot of stuff at it, in my experience, then it gets a little confused. But again, this is one of those things that it's kind of hard to pin down because you're like, hey, it's a big improvement over what it could do before. It's not perfect and can't do everything yet, but we probably shouldn't expect it to.
And to put it in perspective, how long ago did we start talking about Nano Banana? 3 months, 4 months ago. And now it's so much better. So this 3.0, I am impressed with it this far because it is one of the models that I pay for. So I'm excited to see how much better it is than what I'm used to.
Your move, Claude. Take the baton, Mistral. Come on. OpenAI is going to come back with something else. It's going to be interesting to watch.
DTNS is made possible by you, the listener, thanks to Chris Allen, Reed Fischler, Larry Bailey, and Paul is coming on with an annual subscription, and Stoic Biker is giving us a raise.
Hey, thanks, Stoic Biker, and welcome, Paul, on the annual plan. That's great to have that sort of commitment. Big thanks to everybody who supports us everywhere.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Flu season is here, and our pharmacies have you covered with a free flu shot with most insurance plans. Plus, it's cough and cold season, and now through December 2nd, stock up on all the season's essentials and get ready for relief with discounts on items like Mucinex Cold and Flu Kickstart, Mucinex Fast Max products, Vicks DayQuil and NyQuil Combo Pack, Alka-Seltzer Plus, also Airborne and Afrin. Offers end December 2nd. Restrictions apply and offers may vary by location. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
A lot of supplement brands chase trends, but if you're serious about your health, we know research-backed science is what actually moves the needle. Momentous works with the best brains in human science to create every formula, and every batch is made of pure ingredients tested for safety, and does not contain fillers, so you get the best long-term results possible. Creatine isn't just for muscle gains, it's essential daily fuel for your brain, body, and long-term performance. Momentous CreaPure Creatine is backed by leading performance experts like Dr. Andrew Huberman and Dr. Stacy Sims. Sourced exclusively in Germany, CreaPure sets the gold standard for creatine, delivering the purest form, creatine monohydrate, that's rigorously washed and never cut with fillers. With over 2,000 five-star reviews, over 112,000 customers have seen the results firsthand. With Momentous, the fundamentals are done right. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners up to 35% off your first subscription order with promo code ACAST. Go to livemomentous.com and use promo code ACAST for up to 35% off your first subscription order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code ACAST.
Blood donation is now more inclusive. More people are able to donate blood with the American Red Cross through FDA guidelines that eliminate eligibility questions based on sexual orientation. The Red Cross celebrates this historic change and welcomes those who may be newly eligible to donate blood. There's a place for everyone in the mission of the Red Cross. The Red Cross is committed to achieving an inclusive blood donation process that treats all potential donors with equality and respect while maintaining the safety of the blood supply. Join us and help save lives. To learn more and make your appointment to donate blood, visit redcrossblood.org/LGBTQ. That's redcrossblood.org/LGBTQ.
This message is brought to you by AT&T. You know, we spend a lot of time here separating fact from claim. And when it comes to mobile networks, that distinction matters. When AT&T makes a claim, it's one you can count on. AT&T is America's fastest and most reliable wireless network. And that's not opinion, it's data. Based on RootMetrics' United States Root Score report, 1H 2025, tested with best commercially available smartphones on 3 national mobile networks across all available network types. Your experiences may vary. RootMetrics rankings are not an endorsement of AT&T.
There's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and product designer Johnny Ive told Lauren Powell Jobs at the Emerson Collective's 2025 demo day that they have settled on a hardware design for OpenAI's new product.
There was an earlier prototype that we were quite excited about, but I did not have any feeling of I want to pick up that thing and take a bite out of it. And then finally we got there all of a sudden.
OpenAI is prototyping it and believes it should arrive in less than 2 years.
So many guesses about what this is going to be. The scuttlebutt is it won't have a screen. Altman wants to eat it now. Johnny Ive in that same interview was waxing poetic about design as he always does. It does feel like maybe they took a bit of a wrong turn, which is perfectly normal in iterating and prototyping and brainstorming. And that now they've finally found their way to the direction they like. So we're going to have to wait a couple of years, but it's going to be 2 years filled with leaks and speculation, don't you think?
2 years, less than 2 years. So let's just go with the 1 year and 11 months and 31 days. It's 2 years. And here's the thing. We just said that we've been talking about AI the way we're talking about it for 3 years. This is another 2 years out. We'll be 5 years into AI. I just wonder where AI is going to be in 2 years. For devices being developed today. Now, I'm certain that what they would do is that they're going to make sure that, whatever we're doing 2 years from now, we'll be able to run on this device. They're figuring out the form factor and the hardware piece of it. But I'm curious, because if I think back to the perfect device is something you can hold in your hand and you can look at it and it shows you stuff. This goes all the way back to Star Trek and even before the original Star Trek, when sci-fi stuff was you've got some kind of tablet that you're looking at and it shows you things. If this is not going to have that, I'm thinking, could it be maybe an earpiece or something that you wear where you just talk to it and it talks back to you? We've already got a watch. That's not really a new design. I don't know that I want to wear a, keeping the Star Trek analogy going. Maybe I would want to wear a communicator badge that I could just tap and start talking or something. But I think, that looks kind of corny when you're not, trying to be, a very, very sci-tech looking, type of person. So maybe an earpiece would be the thing. That's if I had to guess, that's where I'd go. Although I have no clue. I have no clue what this device is going to be.
The imagination is definitely going to be better than the actual reality. It's it's the gap, right? Apple was always really good during the Steve Jobs years of coming up with something that was at least close to your wildest imagination, and that would get people excited. That's what Johnny Ive is promising. They talked a lot about simplicity and toy-like and being able to understand immediately what to do with it, but not its full range of capability. They got to skate to where the puck is going to be a little bit here. Like you said, that's a really good point. They have cloud-based systems, so being able to run on it probably isn't as big of a deal as, well, what is our model going to be capable of that this can take advantage of? And how do we make sure that you can take advantage of it when it comes out?
Yeah, this is definitely a launching to Mars type of problem. You can't launch to where Mars is. You have to launch to where Mars is going to be by the time you can get there.
Yeah.
And, that is like, for me, it's like, what are you going to be able to do? It's got to be something small that you can wear and talk to. You've got to be able to interact with it. So I'm thinking an earpiece would be something that probably could work.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Johnny Ive is good with coming up with this stuff. This is how good he
Turns
is.
out.
Apple's putting out $200 plus knitted socks to hold iPhones in. That's not a Johnny Ive thing.
All right. Well, we're not going to get off of the Apple stuff quite yet because it's Monday. So we like to assess what Apple Leaks Mark Gurman put in his Power On newsletter on Sunday. This one tops our subreddit thanks to R.W. Nash, who posted it. A lot of good conversation happening in the thread on that. Gurman wrote, "The company," meaning Apple, "is focused on improving the software's quality and underlying performance," adding that engineering teams are now combing through Apple's operating systems, hunting for bloat to cut, bugs to eliminate, and any opportunity to meaningfully boost performance and overall quality. He also said Apple's working on integrating Apple Intelligence into more apps and adding an AI web search tool. And he thinks the improved Siri should launch before iOS 27, possibly in the spring as part of iOS 26.4. He compared this to Snow Leopard, though, Rob, and longtime followers of Apple know that Snow Leopard was a big efficiency improvement, but didn't have a lot of features in it. And he says that's what we'll be getting in all the Apple operating systems this next year.
Unlike Google was able to, Google had to figure out AI. I'm almost wondering, is Apple... Are they saying we're going to make the stuff run on our hardware as effectively as we possibly can, but you're going to be using Gemini or using OpenAI or using Anthropic? Those are going to be the models. Have they kind of just seeded this? Because the AI stuff is all the way at the bottom of the newsletters. It's not at the top. If it was the biggest thing, usually the biggest bite comes at the top of these letters. So I'm just wondering, because Apple is way behind on this stuff.
Yeah. Keep in mind, as good as Mark Gurman is at this, he is not immune from the fact that he gets this information because Apple is okay with him having it. Mm-hmm. He most of the time, Apple is aware that it's going to show up there. That's how he's able to continue to do it over these years. And so what this tells me is Apple is setting expectations. Oh, yeah, we're going to have that Apple Intelligence out before iOS 27. Don't get all upset about that. But the more important thing is the efficiency. The more important thing is fixing the bugs. And that is important. It's the kind of thing you never get credit for as a company. You only get blamed if you don't do it and your operating system gets buggy. So they need to do this regularly, and I think it's good to focus on it. But I think there's a lot of expectation setting by feeding this into the public press to say, like, yeah, this next stuff, they want your reaction, Rob, is my guess, of like, oh, I guess they're going to seed things to other people. That way, whatever Apple Intelligence ends up being good at, you go, oh, I'm surprised it actually is good at this, that, or the other thing.
Set the bar low.
Yeah.
Canada's Watt Medical is making a wristband at its Chinese subsidiary called the eCoffee Energy Band. The promise is that it will keep you as alert as a cup of coffee would, but without the caffeine. You wear the wristband that has 2 electrodes that send a mild electrical pulse. No caffeine addiction, but you may experience numbness in your fingers, so they recommend not wearing it for more than 3 hours. It sells for $130 if you can find it. There has been no research done directly on the system, though the company lists research on the concept and trials for similar systems that reduced vomiting, but not nausea.
Yeah. So they're going to claim a bunch of science behind this. There doesn't seem to be a lot of science behind it, other than if I'm getting, they describe it as a bump, not like a shock. But if, it's going to make me be a little more alert, I guess. That just makes sense. This is a great example of something going viral. Wired says that there's all this backlash. And I'm like, yeah, there's always backlash when something goes viral. And the fact that it's sold out means that it went viral for real. Like viral, people are trying to find this thing and they're having a hard time keeping it in stock.
So I'm thinking back to when I was a kid and I would wear the socks across my grandma's really thick carpet, and then anything metal that you touch, it would shock the heck out of you. That's kind of what I'm imagining. Maybe not that much, because those shocks were pretty jarring, but something that just kind of, hey, come back. So
like a muscle convulsant more than a pain, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not looking at this like it's a stimulant. I'm looking like it is shocking you back to full consciousness. If you were kind of
like waking you up. Yeah.
Waking you up.
Hey, wake up. The New York Times reports several anecdotes of users describing ChatGPT acting like a friend, excessively praising them like a sycophant, and in some cases offering harmful advice, including instructions related to self-harm. There's some pretty disturbing anecdotes in this New York Times report. OpenAI believes it addressed these issues in GPT-5 with condition-specific responses, pushback against delivering delusional narratives. That includes discouraging emotional dependency on the chatbot, making it a little colder, basically, suggesting that you take breaks, and alerting parents if children's accounts express self-harm. Age verification is supposed to launch soon as well. Still, OpenAI is the subject of 5 wrongful death lawsuits. Now, these are some of the reasons that a public benefit company called Building Humane Technology has developed a benchmark called Humane Bench that is meant to assess how well models prioritize user well-being. OpenAI's GPT-5 has the highest score on this benchmark, 0.99, while Claude Sonnet 4.5 is right behind it at 0.89. Meta's Llama 3.1 and Llama 4 are ranked the lowest.
So this is something that, because up until very recently, OpenAI has sat at the top of the list, that they're the ones who are getting the arrow shot their way. But this is not the first or the second. I think this is the third time that we've heard about, its ability to just be very sycophantic and just tell you what you want to hear in every situation possible. I've actually had that experience. I know people have had that experience. So hopefully they are getting this figured out. But it almost can be annoying. It's like, why are you gassing me up? just give me the information. I know that, there's no reason for this to be positive or negative. I just want information. Why are you trying to make me feel good about the information that you're giving me?
Yeah. And I make no claims about the reliability of Humane Bench. I haven't looked into it that much, but I like this idea. And creating a public benefit company is an interesting way of going about it, because this isn't a nonprofit. So it could be subject to some influence here, but they are trying to position themselves as an independent way of assessing these sort of things. And they want to get some venture-backed capital so they can build it out and make it work. I look for some independent assessment of the Humane Bench, but I like the idea of this, and hopefully we'll get this and maybe a couple other efforts at it.
The President of the United States has ordered the Attorney General not to enforce a law that prohibits the distribution of TikTok in the country until January 20th. The delays are meant to give time for a deal that would see the divestiture of TikTok as required by the same law. No one has challenged the legality of the orders, and the administration says it's close to a deal. However, Monday, U.S. Senator Ed Markey asked the president to give details about the plan to determine whether it satisfies the national security concerns of the law. Markey wants to know if the licensing of TikTok's algorithm is a one-time transfer of source code, or if ByteDance will continually retrain it.
Yeah, Senator Markey usually is pretty technologically proficient in his communications. He probably has some good staffers, but he tends to understand what he's saying at the same time. So asking about source code, asking about licensing, there's some good questions in here. What's more significant to me is that we are finally hearing hey, what's actually going on about this? Secretary Bessent has said that we might hear something this week about the deal, maybe on Thursday, which is a holiday in the U.S., so that would be an interesting day to unleash it. Maybe they're going to push it during the NFL games on Thursday. They've done that sort of thing before. So yeah, I thought it was significant that we're finally seeing a little pushback on the legality of these executive orders and not challenging that directly, but saying, hey, if we got a deal, can we find out the details about it?
I have gotten to the point to where when a deal comes, tell me about the deal, and then I'll believe that we have a deal, because we have been kicking this can down the road. If we're going to push this out until January 20th, it will literally be a year. Because January 20th this year was when the law was supposed to kick into effect, and we haven't done it. So we are a year out from doing this. So if we get a deal, I'm kind of where Marky is. Tell me about the deal. Give me some details. How is this going to work? Don't just tell me that we have the concept of a deal. I want to see the actual innards of the deal.
Yeah, and does it address the problem that the law was created to address? All right, finally, some quick headlines that are things that are good to know if you want to understand the news in the future.
In Windows 11 preview, Microsoft is testing preloading File Explorer to improve launch times.
Short but sweet, but that's something that I would like to see, and you can turn it off if you don't want it, but I bet it works. The OnePlus 15R, which is a cheaper version of the OnePlus 15, will arrive on December 17th, along with a OnePlus Pad Go 2 and Watch Lite. Now, that's the announcement date. Shipping will be varying, but the tablet is going to come and the phone is going to come to Europe, India, and the U.S. The watch only coming to Europe for now.
The GSMA is developing the 6G wireless standard for an expected rollout in 2030 and estimates the standard will need 3 to 4 times the spectrum currently allocated to mobile operators for 5G and below.
Oh, 6G. We're starting to hear about 6G.
That's a lot of bandwidth.
That is a lot, yeah. In another sign to watch for future memory prices, remember we've been hearing about price spikes and hedges against that from makers like Samsung. Lenovo said it's keeping its component inventory, which is memory and other things, 50% higher than usual in anticipation of price hikes and particularly shortages.
If you wonder where CNN reports went in Apple News, they have been removed while the two companies discuss a renewal of their distribution agreement.
Ooh, carriage dispute. A couple of important satellite internet notes. Amazon Leo has begun previewing its service for select business customers. They still are on track for a public rollout of satellite internet next year. And Ukraine's Kyivstar has become the first European carrier to launch direct-to-cell satellite service for SMS with Starlink.
Meta is becoming an electricity trader in order to help secure new energy plant construction in the United States.
That's just one of those checkbox things. You know, if they're really going to do this, they need to be able to qualify as a trader. Now they have. U.S. Office of Personnel Management Director Scott Kapoor told Reuters earlier this month that the Department of Government Efficiency, oftentimes referred to as DOGE, does not exist. It's gone. Some of the members of the team have taken other roles, like in web design at the White House, but there is no more Doge. And y'all made me do a big old story earlier this year about whether Doge was a threat to everything or not. And so I am personally glad that it doesn't exist anymore because I'm tired of talking about it.
It didn't even make it to its first birthday.
Well, it's so sad.
A U.S. judge issued a temporary restraining order against OpenAI, prohibiting its use of cameos or cameo videos in its products and marketing as part of an ongoing trademark lawsuit brought by Chicago-based Baron App, which uses the same name in its Cameo product. The hearing is set for December 19th.
And the Financial Times reports that AIG, Great American, and W.R. Berkley are among insurance companies seeking permission from U.S. regulators to have the option. None of them are doing it yet, but to have the option to exclude liabilities from deploying AI tools from their coverage. In other words, we're not going to cover you if you get sued for AI stuff.
They're a little scared of that. That's
they just want to have that option, you know. Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper.
It's not an AI bubble. It's an LLM bubble. Andy Beach breaks down what Hugging Face's CEO thinks comes next.
Last week, we talked about whether there is a bubble or not. And today, Andy Beach is going to explain not only why one AI CEO thinks there is a bubble, but he thinks he knows what kind of bubble it is. Andy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Tom, good to see you again.
So tell us what Hugging Face's CEO was going on about here.
Yeah, so there was a recent Axios event, and Clem Delangu from Hugging Face argued that we're not in the middle of sort of an AI bubble overall. What we're really in the middle of is an LLM bubble. And the fact is that these general purpose LLMs are going to start going away, and we're going to see AI specific domain knowledge really come into its own in this current next phase.
I've been saying this for a while, and I know I certainly wasn't the first to say it. But it makes sense to me. And in some ways, he's kind of making a distinction without a difference. When everyone says there's an AI bubble, they mean LLMs. They're talking about Gemini and OpenAI and all of that. Is there more to what he's saying here that says, yes, the general is what he's saying more hopeful than it sounds?
Hopeful may be the wrong word, but I think we're getting down to a reality that you, myself, several others have sort of seen. We've just been saying it in words that nobody necessarily understood. We've been talking about these like agentic workflows. We've been talking about orchestration. All of that is part of what will make these smaller language models, these more directed models, useful, because they will need sort of a multitasking system that coordinates them so that the right information is coming together. So I think what he's calling out is sort of the feature within a larger set that we've been thinking about, and trying to put that forward in public knowledge in such a way that people begin thinking about the lack of the one big model, which is how everybody has thought about A. We've thought of it as capital A, capital I, and now we need to start thinking about it as sort of lowercase a, lowercase I, and then there's lots of them.
Yeah. One of the things that I have been pointing out is that when you fine tune a model and you make it very specific, it hallucinates less and it helps things more. And that he seems to be saying a similar thing. He's saying it more from the financial end in this particular case, but it's all based on the same thing, which is a big general purpose model is never going to be as good as a fine-tuned model. And I guess what he's saying, if I'm hearing it right, is that's the future. The future is making a model that works for whatever it is that you want to do, not saying try to get ChatGPT to do the thing you want to do. Maybe it'll be good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to see this firsthand in some media operations that I did when I was still at Microsoft, where invariably, if you wanted something that was more accurate and also a speed efficient, lower latency, then you had to have something that was tuned and specific, and it was going to only work on that one task, and that's all you needed it to do. But you knew that it was going to be highly consistent. And so I think operators have already been thinking in this space, and this is the larger public starting to think that there's more behind it than just a ChatGPT or a Gemini or a Claude that goes into it. And we need to think of it in terms of smaller pieces that we assemble for the larger workflow that we want.
So what do you think that means if the LLM bubble bursts, right? If it turns out like, no, nobody wants to use Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT anymore. They want to use these smaller bits. How would that play out?
Well, I think all of those players are still in a good place, because I think all of those systems are already attuned to being sort of an agentic or an orchestrated workflow, meaning that that larger LLM piece can still act as an agent that is moving the right pieces together to get you the answers that you want. It's just not answering it itself. It's going and finding the correct resource, whether that's maybe a specific language or a specific utilization within science or medicine. It's just not trying to answer it off the cuff. It's almost the research librarian that's going to help you find the topic that you want.
I know I do historical parallels way too often, but
I love them.
It's sort of reminding me of, listen, Alta Vista, Excite, and InfoSeek are all really good. All they need to do is start orchestrating ways to share data, and maybe Yahoo is the future because it has a directory, and that's a little more useful. And we are experiencing that with OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, and Mistral, and others, and we are waiting for Google in this analogy to come along and go, actually, if you just do it this way, it works a lot better.
I think, you can only, and I agree that we have definitely seen this time and time again. And the difference here is that we got to this probably much quicker than we did in the era of search.
Definitely.
and we will likely see an AI version, a Google version of an AI company that comes around that completely flips the model on its head at some stage.
Yeah, because I mean, what Google did was say, you make the websites, we'll make them easy to find. What someone can do in this space is you make the individual models that are great, we'll make them easy to orchestrate. And whoever does that wins that game, if that ends up being the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, Andy, thank you for helping us interpret Clem's words here. I think we all know there's a bubble. We just kind of don't know how it's going to deflate and who's going to get caught in the fallout, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be an interesting area to watch. And I do think that we will see more of this in early 2026 now that we seem to be shifting gears into the smaller manageable models. We'll see more players out there.
And if you want to follow those players more closely, you got to go check out Andy's Engines of Change. Where can folks get it?
Enginesofchange.ai is my Substack. I cover media technology and the convergence of AI with it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Tom.
Hey, you were just saying earlier in the show about how much accelerated we are. Did you like that analogy?
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. It makes sense. It's like, this is what we're thinking. So
yeah,
smarter people like Andy can put it in words that I'm not able to express.
Thank you, Andy Beach, again. Also, big thanks to everybody who supports the show. And in exchange for your support, we're giving folks a discount. If you are interested in some DTNS stuff, and we got some great new stuff up on the store. We got a pint glass. We got a bunch of stuff with Len Peralta's art with Techie Santa. We got a new DTNS hat. Like a dad hat, nice cotton hat. It's gray with the DTNS logo on it. You can get all of that at the store for 12% off to the end of November if you use the code DTNS Rocks. That's DTNS ROCKS. There'll be a link in the show notes as well that you can click on. But just as a thank you for 12 years of DTNS, we're giving you 12% off. Again, that code DTNS Rocks at dailytechnewsshow.com/store.
Hey there, it's Ryan Seacrest for Safeway. Flu season is here, and our pharmacies have you covered with a free flu shot with most insurance plans. Plus, it's cough and cold season, and now through December 2nd, stock up on all the season's essentials and get ready for relief with discounts on items like Mucinex Cold and Flu Kickstart, Mucinex Fast Max products, Vicks DayQuil and NyQuil Combo Pack, Alka-Seltzer Plus, also Airborne and Afrin. Offers end December 2nd. Restrictions apply, and offers may vary by location. Visit Safeway.com for more details.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared perspectives. Today, Reed is helping us understand.
Yeah, regarding last Monday's show, Reed writes, I don't think people understand how much of the wireless backhaul is done via fiber. Regardless of whether or not it is satellite or cellular, we are talking about terabits upon terabits of capacity. That is much more than any satellite is doing today, especially not without beaming down to an Earth station where it connects to fiber. This is a political problem and is also a problem of countries who know that they are in the right place and are able to suck money out of those countries who need to pass through them. This isn't a problem that will be solved soon because it is directly related to the political problems in the Middle East, which I don't think are going to be solved anytime soon, unfortunately, as well.
This is a good email.
Yeah, it is. This is from somebody who knows the business too, so it's no surprise to me.
Reed knows what he's talking about here, and this makes so much sense. But it's like, money rules a lot.
Yep.
I think Wu-Tang said it.
Yeah, we can put satellites up as an alternative, but until backhaul is capable between the satellites, which they're investigating, but it is way too early to say that that could replace fiber. You're going to need that fiber. And so when you have problems running subsea cables, when subsea cables get cut, when you have to move them away from areas that have, war happening, it has a big effect on how well we're able to move bits around the world.
Yeah, that you think about, you said war in those cables. That is, people are going to go after that in times of war. It's like if you can stop communication, you can stop a lot.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, we want to know what you're thinking about. So if you've got some insights into a story, share it with us at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Yeah, big thanks to Andy Beach and to Reed for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You keep us in business. Thank you, patrons. If you want to become a patron, we have a little discount for patrons as well. Go check that out at patreon.com/DTNS. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
Hey, it's Adam Grant from TED's podcast, Work Life, and this episode is brought to you by ServiceNow. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. That's why it's no surprise that more than 85% of the Fortune 500 companies use the ServiceNow AI platform. While other platforms duct tape tools together, ServiceNow seamlessly unifies people, data, workflows, and AI, connecting every corner of your business. And with AI agents working together autonomously, anyone in any department can focus on the work that matters most. Learn how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people at servicenow.com.